Hey, oh, I looked at myself and going, I'm looking at the Pope this morning. And I'm going, he's there and he's in bed, and he's kind of back there. He don't have a mustache or a beard or long hair. But if he did, who would he look like? Look at the picture that's on the internet this morning of the Pope. He looks just like me. If he had long hair and a beard and mustache, that's me. He's older than me, though. Because I'm 75. He's got to be, I think he's in his 80s, isn't he? Oh, he's like my big brother. We look alike. If he had a mustache and a beard and long hair, and I look back, I was looking at him this morning, and he was like this. He was looking at me, and I said, that looks just like me. And I still have it. I'm in bed with pneumonia. I've had it since November 24th, 2023. I've had it for 2 years. This November would be 2 years. I want to say 2020. Yeah, I've had pneumonia for well over a year. 14 months, 15 months I've had pneumonia. But I got COVID on November 24th, and I was delivered from it on December the 8th. I wear that medal too, Feast of Immaculate Conception. I wear that medal. It's right there. See it? That's a miraculous medal. And I was in a daydream prayer. I was told, Bill, the thousands will die all around you, but you won't be harmed, so don't worry. So I said, okay, well, but I got pneumonia. But the only reason why I got pneumonia is because God wanted to lower my voice. He says, okay, he survived COVID. Okay, we're going to use him. All right, let's lower his voice, because if I'm going to use him, I want a low voice. If I'm going to say anything, I want it to be in a low tone, like I want it to be like a father talking to a son or a daughter or something like that. So we got to lower his voice. So I took my voice from up here and put it down here. Oh, I'm singing hallelujah like this. And he lowered my voice. Took him a whole year to do it. I coughed my brains out. Every time I coughed, my voice, I noticed it got lower and lower. So, because the Blessed Mother, she looked at me when I came up. I was looking at her, and I looked at her, and I said, Mom, I know I wasn't harmed, but the only reason why I got pneumonia is because God wants to lower my voice. And she smiled at me. Oh, she smiled at me. So anyways, I've been in bed. I'm hoping to get up out of it. I got a wreck in my house. I went through COVID. Before I went through COVID, I went through drug withdrawal because I was spinal stenosis I had. Agent Orange did that to me. I'm shrunk from 5'10" to 5'7.5". I'm shrinking. My nerves run down through my back, and my bones are shrinking around my nerves, and they're pinching the daylights out of them down around the lower back. God. And then so, I was looked over for a while back. I've been having these episodes since I come back from Vietnam. I'm still having them. I'm at 75. So it throws me off track mentally sometimes because of the stress. It's a lot of stress to all the things that happened to me. I've gone through, I've weathered the storm, man. I fought the fight. God, I was over. God took me from massacring people. That's what I was. I was a village massacre person. I put the rockets in the launchers, and 16 rockets, every 3 seconds coming at you. You're in a village. You're in a home, your little home, your little cottage. You got your kids and everything. And you got chickens, and you got a pig, and you got probably a cow or something like that. Or maybe a couple cows. You got a nice garden. Everything's hunky dory. So they come across you. Okay, you got to get out. Got to get out of your house. You got to leave your home and everything, and go to this place, refugee. And they're all looking. You want me to leave my home and everything? Oh, if you don't, you're considered the enemy. You'll be collateral damage. And they don't move. They don't go. So what happens is, to irritate the whole situation worse, is that we get called in because there's an attack. Because these groundhog Viet Cong are down in the holes in the ground during the daytime because it's 110, 120. Jeepers, God, it gets so hot. You just get bear caught. You pass out sometimes. So hot. Sweating. Oh, can't take a shower. Oh, I don't want to get into that. I got another video that covers that. Look at some of my videos I talk about Vietnam. I didn't have to go. I was born with an undescended testicle from what my mother says. I don't know. There's no record of that. So I don't know how you would check that out. I think somebody punched me in the nuts when I was about a babysitter or something. I didn't, maybe I pissed on her or something. I don't know. She whacked me in the nuts, drove that one nut up my left side. Then they did an operation on me. First time they did an operation on me, I was 13, 14. And the doctor was, chewing us. I can fix that. I forgot what his name was, but I don't know. But he says, I can fix that. I think it was Dr. Brick. His name was Dr. Brick. I had some friends whose last name was Brick. I wonder if they're any relation to him. But he says, I can fix that. So I woke up the next morning groggy, and I put my hand down where the operation was. After he did the operation, and I felt this string, like a bass string on a bass guitar or a upright bass or something like that. There's a string there, and it was taut too. So I just hit it with my finger a little bit. And went boing. I went ooh, and I hit it again. Boing. Ooh, what the heck's going on? So I looked down there, and there's a string. He had tied a black, heavy string through my testicle, holding it down in my sack. And coming out of my sack, the long string of probably, I'd say about 24 inches, came out of my testicle, and it was holding it down, and I had to hold it taut because it had to hold the testicle down in the scrotum. So I looked over and I said, what the heck is it? They had surgically taped a 2x4 to my knee. And somebody pounded a nail in the 2x4. And what they were doing is they tied that string to that nail. And I was like that for weeks, with my left nut tied to a 2x4. And this guy's eating a sandwich. He said, I'll be able to pay my bar bill tonight. I don't know if that's the way he was or what, but that's the way I think of it. Some caveman doctor did this to me. Said, oh, I can fix that. He invented it. There's no procedure that's how you keep a testicle down in a sack once it's been up the side. He didn't know what he was doing. I could have sued him good. Man, he screwed me up royally. As soon as I was there, I was in so much pain, and then my friends would show up, and I'd be going, oh shit, what are you doing, Nixon? What's happening? What's going on? Why are you in the hospital and all that? What's going on? And I says, oh, I had the operation, and they tied my testicles to a 2x4. And I go, what are you talking about? Oh, you're bullshitting us. Yeah, come on, man. They didn't tie your testicles in a 2x4. I says, yes, they did. And I pulled over and I had the covers and I put them up in the air like this so they could see under them. Just look under the covers, you know. And they all came over and they looked down there and saw the string coming out of my scrotum, right? A string, a dark black string, going to my left knee. Taut. I couldn't move my left knee. I couldn't bend it back. It had to stay straight, you know. So here I was for weeks like that. My nuts tied to 2x4. And they're looking and go, oh my God, his nuts are tied to 2x4. And then they started laughing. Nixon's in the hospital with his nuts tied to 2x4s. Oh my God. I started laughing too, you know. My nuts tied to 2x4, you know. There's a lot of women that like to tie their husband's nuts to 2x4, I bet. My wife got hers ahead of time. I got tied to a 2x4, man. My nuts tied down to a 2x4. Now, if God has willed, everything's done according to God's will. God willed that my nuts be tied down to 2x4. Was that a metaphor or something? Was he wanting to tell me a message? He says, Bill, he says, you better take care of what you got swinging between your legs better because you're on a ticket that's taking you to hell. Because I wanted a woman, I didn't care what she looked like. That's how bad I was. Because that left nut that was rammed up my side was still working. It was still working. So, I was one little 13, 14-year-old running around, and I don't want it. I didn't care what it looked like. I wanted to get some. And I never found any. It was all in my head, I never found. Yeah. Oh, man, oh, God was good to me. He took me out of that whole environment. I came from a molested environment, started when I was 7, with 2 twin girls. They stuck a bobby pin up my butt, invited me over to their house, saying, we have a fort out in the backyard. Want to come over and play? And these 2 beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed twins, they were 7, 8 years old, somewhere around there. I don't think they were baptized, because what they did to me was not somebody who would have the Holy Spirit in them, for sure. So, anyways, I ended up with 2 bobby pins in my butt, one from each one of them. They took them out of their hair, had me pull down my pants, and they were looking at me and looking me over and all that other stuff in this old station wagon with a mattress in the back seat of it. Now, why their parents let them have that and do what they wanted with the boys when they brought them over and stuff, I don't know why. Maybe they came and told Daddy and Mommy at night what they did to me, Because what they did to me, they said, put down your pants, And I says, oh, okay. And I was looking at them, I'll marry both of you, I'm thinking in my head, and I can't even get an erection, I'm too young. I'm only 7, 8 years old, But I have an eye for women, and these girls were beautiful. And I started fantasizing. The first time my sexual part of me came alive. I've become more aware of it. What were these sensations I was desiring or feeling when they stuck them bobby pins up my butt? They said, oh, bend over and now let us put one, takes one out of her hair and she wets it and she sticks it in my butt. She goes, slides it right in there, And I go, oh, jeepers. Why are they sticking bobby pins in my butt? Then the other one comes over and she gets one out and she sticks it in my butt. This is my perversion now, 7 years old. Jeepers. But anyways, so she sticks it in my butt. I don't know what the hell's going on. They want to play. This is how they play. Well, it ain't too bad, I guess. I can put up with a couple body pins in my butt. Now that I think of it, when I'm an old man now, I think about what happened to me. So they stuck them up my butt, I said, what was this? Why did they do that? They wanted to penetrate me. They wanted to be the penetrators. They didn't want me to be the penetrator. They wanted to be the penetrator. So they penetrated me. That's how I figure it. They're trying to tell me, penetration. Come on, penetration. But I couldn't penetrate because I had a wet noodle. I couldn't get a hard on. That's my first molestation. So the two bobby pins, and they said to me, now, don't take them out. Go home and don't take them out until the next time you come, and then we'll take them out for you. And I go, oh. So I go walking away with two bobby pins up my butt, right? I think what happened was I got diarrhea or something like that, and I lost the bobby pins in the toilet or something like that. Nothing was ever done after that, because I never went back to that place with them girls or anything. In fact, I never saw them girls ever again. We moved. Nobody knew what happened to me at the time, but maybe God got me out of there before them girls started really working on me. Yeah, both of them. I don't know which one to marry. They were twins. Good looking, too. Blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh, I love blonde hair and blue eyes in a woman. But man, they all got wandering eyes. I've never met one yet that would be devoted to one man. When they're beautiful like that. It seems like they're just so beautiful they want everybody to love them, And they get this thing in their head, about wandering eyes. You never marry a woman that has wandering eyes, because once you marry them, it's twice as bad. After she gets used to you, 5 years or so, and she's got a couple of kids. She's very horny. Maybe you are too. But you don't want any more kids. She doesn't either. What does human beings go through, I went through it. So where am I going with this? That was my first molestation at 7. And it was just a pile of shit, It ended up in a pile of shit. So I shrugged it off, this and that, whatever happened. It was a learning experience. What were they getting at? Penetrating me with bobby pins. That's going through my head, Ooh, penetration. Oh. That type of thing. So, I don't know, the devil had his way with me at that age. I was trying to think, what did I do at that age that the devil could take control of me like that? Just probably concede the sin. See, I didn't have a father that sat down with me and told me all the do's and don'ts about Christianity, I just went with the flow, man. I didn't know those two girls weren't baptized. They were possessed by demons. Demons had their way with me. And I was only 7. Boy, they started young. Yeah. Well, there was a payback, because, see, God worked a miracle in my life just before that. I had lost a tooth. I put it under my pillow. And because my mother's 2 nephews were staying with us. They were 19 and 20. They were visiting Aunt Tina, then they're going to go on. They were visiting, I think we were in California at the time. So they were visiting from Chicago area, up in that area, Duluth, Minnesota, all them places up there. That's where they yield from, Duluth, Minnesota. It's another dismal, foggy place. I can still hear the foghorns going. Oh, that's kind of like what it sounds like. When you hear that big, and it echoes through everything, you know. That's Duluth, Minnesota, my mother's hometown, where she was born. Her mother was sold to a little Italian guy, and it was a game how they did it, because my grandmother was a beautiful singer. Oh, she had a beautiful voice. She sang, and everybody knew she wanted to come to America and be a singer. So that's how my father-in-law, that's not my father-in-law, that's how who would have been my mother's grandfather sold his daughter to an Italian over here in the United States. And his name was Monteleone, the mountain lion. Little mountain lion. And he was a little stocky guy just like me. 5'10", right around there. And he was a toughie, you know. Italianos. They had 14 kids. One died, a boy. And my mother was the 13th. Complete black. She was all black. Black eyes, black hair, black everything but one white streak. Just like this. Just like this. A white streak that grew naturally in her head and went down on her black hair. Accented her black hair. It was beautiful. My mother was beautiful. Yeah, she was a gorgeous woman. My dad couldn't take his eyes off her. And who is that? He walked by her. He was an MP in the Marines. And he's got his suit on, military and all that. He goes walking by her. She's sitting in the front yard of her sister, visiting her from the orphanage. So she was there for the summer. So my dad saw her, and he looked at her, and my mother looked at him, and she smiled. Had great big white teeth my mother had. She took very good care of her teeth. She had beautiful teeth. My sister Mary Ann has the same teeth like my mother had. And Terry, I haven't seen her as an adult, and I don't see her smiling a lot, you know, where she shows her teeth. I don't know what type of teeth she has. But my sister Mary Ann had my mother's teeth. And then they got broke. Oh, somebody hit her on the playground. Chipped her. She was gone through the Depression at a young age, too. She was just coming into, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade or something like that. Happened on the playground. She slipped on ice. Chipped her tooth. Well, she had it fixed. You can't even tell that it was chipped. She has these great big white teeth now, and she's a little Negro, and she doesn't know it. She works for Obama. She worked for Obama as his secretary, his wife's secretary. They were good friends and all that. Mary didn't know she was black, but she got a tan, and her hair was like my beard. Her hair on top of her head was just like my beard. Okay? That's what my sister Mary Ann had. She used to try to straighten it and everything, just like all the black people try to straighten their hair. You know, she had that problem. It was big and bushy all over the place. It was before they had those afros, you know, those great big afros and stuff. But she kept it short and puffy and all that stuff. It looked nice. I think it was like a reddish brown or something like that. I think she kept it that color. But I don't know what it looks like now in her old age. I haven't seen her. She got married again. Her first husband died. He was around 57, somewhere around there. He died. I'm getting down. I'm starting to not paying attention to what I'm doing to myself here. Ah, man, it's stretch, good pain and bad pain. You know, ever knows how you have pain and then you stretch it, turns into good pain. Oh, I love good pain. God, give me good pain. Oh, you got to stretch to get good pain. Because life is a pain, you know, good pain and bad pain. Not so bad pain, not so good pain. Some pain is really bad, like kidney stone pain. That stuff there. Or a Japanese beetle going down your ear. Everybody. Because right now the elements of the world are going wild. Why are the birds flying in all kinds of ways? And why are different animals doing different things that they're going in circles? Great big circles. Sheep are getting together and they're starting to walk in circles. Why is that? It's snowing. It snowed in Israel. You know, I mean, the elements of the world, you know, what's going on, man? I looked at it this morning with the mass. The reason why I'm hiccuping is I'm talking too much. I'm not taking enough breaths. That's a secret. I invented a therapy, too. Oh, I got all kinds of things I do. I'll tell you about the therapy I invented. It's a brush therapy. Where is it? Where's that brush? See, maybe God doesn't want me to get off track here. I'm not going to be able to find the brush. I want just a few more seconds before I get to where I just said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be looking for something anymore. But see how I get dwelled into it. And now I can't find it. So now I'm getting irritable. I'm getting irritated because I can't find it. And now I'm saying to myself, what am I looking for? And then it comes back to me, oh, I'm looking for a brush. And guess what? I can't find one. So it must be God doesn't want me to talk about it right now. He will. I talked about it before. It's a therapy I invented. See, I have this schematic of the feet and the hands. All the areas that there's places on my hands I can rub with a bristle brush with plastic with the round burnt ends on the end there, like they're melted, but so they're making a little ball on there. It's not a stabby type, scratchy, stabby brush made out of plastic. Those stems, the bristles. I like them with the little ball in the end. So you get that, and what you do is you stimulate nerves that haven't been stimulated in a long time, probably. And you stimulate it by rubbing that brush on your hand, your palm of your hand. Just move it around nice and slow, and brush it in a massage, like a deep type thing. And that hand therapy chart that's out there that shows you different positions on your hand to massage. I can clear up my sinuses. Right now they're clogged up. If I could find that, and I can find the spot that I had, it affects my sinuses and clears them up. Weird. There's a lot to that. What do they call it? Somebody massages your feet. What do they call them guys? They're a therapist of some sort. I knew a woman that went into it. She tried, and it didn't have to get too much. She just had to go to school, learn how to rub. There was a massage therapist. So my first 2 years of college was in medicine, was in athletic medicine. I was going to be I wanted to be a therapist for a football team or something like that. Great big guys, that let them hit the heavy bag, hit the speed bag. I'd be their coach, in there, and if there's something happened to them, they got a bad knee or a bad hand or something like that, I can give them athletic care, athletic therapist. Athletic therapist is what I was trying to be. But that changed after I was in school for 2 years and I left the school just before I graduated. I took off because the devil was sent in to persuade me, to get me so I don't get my degree, so I can't brag. I can't brag. God came into my life. I was a ninth grade dropout, and now I'm a college graduate. So he sent the devil in, and he was after me full force. Scared me away. I had to go to another college. And so I went to another college. I got on the honor roll at the other college. They said, yeah, I got on the honor roll. I got A's all the time. I went to St. Leo College, up there. It's a university now. The state came in and took it all over. I got stories in there. They're on my videos. You got to hear some of them stories. Back in my day. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been down here in 50 years. So back when I was a child, 26, I call myself a child. You are a child, a 75-year-old man. 26 is a child. Come on now. And that's what I was. Sitting in a chair of theology at St. Leo College. They had made that because they wanted to establish a chair of theology, and I was going to be sitting in it. So they sent up their, I don't know, color. He might have been a cull priest that goes in and checks you out and tests you and everything, see if you're for real or not. And he goes back and tells the bishop. Well, I got in the middle of that. And this guy, he went beyond what legally he could probably do as in the position he was in. Because he came up and tested the whole area. Because down in St. Petersburg, they were having a big problem with wife swapping in that area. And I wasn't anywhere near any of that stuff. I was being tempted on occasions by couples and, people that weren't married, but they were together. And I was tempted by them a couple of times because I was given testimony about Christ. I mean, that one situation I was in, he had a whole bunch of magazines, filthy magazines he had. And I says, put them in my truck, I'll take care of them. So he said, oh, yeah, you want them? Okay, I'll get it. So he went through them all and everything, and he put them in my truck, and I brought them back up. I had them in a big box. What a dummy I was, man. Had them in a big box, I'm going to burn them somewhere, take the devil out of this guy's house, right? When I left his house, he had a plaque on the wall saying, God is welcome in this home. That's what the plaque said, because of the way I conducted myself with him. I didn't give in to any of his temptations. He said he hadn't done it a long time, but he wanted to have a homosexual relationship. I said, I was 26 at the time now, 24. Let's see, how old would I have been? Right around that area. That was Dunedin. That was my junior college days. So I was about 23, 24, 25, somewhere around. And he had a girlfriend. He was pregnant. He tried to pull some stuff on me. He wanted to see how big I was, and all that stuff. He never saw how big I was. If he did, I'm not going to go into that. But anyways, I would have never got rid of him. Shit. It's like one of those things that, the homosexuals, they see it in the gym or something, or you're in the Y, or you're in a health club and stuff, and you're hung like a horse. They can't take their eyes off you. They're following you all over if they're homosexuals. They want to see it again. That's how you can tell. Homosexuals, they'll follow you right around until they see what's hanging, I don't go to those places. I did it when I was young. I was 13, 14, 15, 16, right around there. And I quit going to them after that. I went to service, became a man. You give up your childish ways and you become a man. And Vietnam, there's no atheists and foxholes over there, people. And I read the Bible the first time, and I didn't even know what love it was. I thought love was just sex. Like when you die, you go to heaven and God comes up to you. You go, what do you do when you kiss God? You say, oh, can I suck you? Can I suck your cock? Is that what you think you would say to God? Think about it. I'm trying to be truthful here to you people to really make you think. You're down here on earth, and I don't believe in God. I don't believe in nothing. I just want my boyfriend, hubby, and we'll gag and choke on everything we want. Nobody can say nothing. We got our time on earth, and this is the way we want to spend it. But you know what? I said, okay, that's good for you. But what about the children you're adopting? You got to listen to you and your hubby. You're choking and gagging at nighttime, and oohing and on and the big crescendo. And that happens every night, and this kid's wondering what the hell's going on, until he reaches sexual maturity and he figures it out. And now he's listening with a jar of Vaseline, and he's not looking for a woman. He's looking for another man like you got. You see what we did, people? Don't you understand what you did when you let those laws give the perverts their rights? Differential association, you are who you hang out with. If you want perverts in the United States having all their freedom, then you're going to reap what they sow. Your children are going to become perverts too, and they'll grow up to your disgrace if that happens. Now, how do I talk to my child? I never had one. I was a foster parent, weekend foster parent, many times. My wife and I took over a home where they had children, 12 kids, or something like that. It was a home supported by a bunch of millionaires, really. But we only worked during the weekend. We just got paid minimum wage, But I was there on a ministry. And, I wanted to try to be a father, too. I didn't have any kids. So I was a father. I felt like how it would have to be. I had a kid there. He was uncontrollable. Nobody would chastise him, right? And his behavior, if his fishing line got tied up where he got hooked and he couldn't get it off, he got frustrated and threw the whole pole in the lake. That's what type of frustration these kids go under. And I when he did that, he didn't expect it, but I gave him a good one on the butt with my right hand. Wham! I said, what'd you do that for? Like a father would. And he shocked me. And he started relating to me like I was his dad or something. He started obeying me, and he come out of it. He snapped out of it. That's sometimes a kid has to have the strap to make him come around. My dad did it to me. I'd be out there, way out there, my dad say, "Oh, you misbehaved today? I'll go out to the tree and pull a stick off. It has to be, I want it as big as a broomstick. I don't want no skinny, scrawny stuff. So I got to go out there and look for a big branch to pull off some tree, I made sure that there wasn't other branches coming off the branch because those things protrude out of the branch, and when they hit, they dig in, so I get a smooth branch. I look for a smooth branch. because I've been whipped before, I know what happens. So, anyways, I'm going to get my whipping. And I had to go out and pick it. I brought it in, give it to my dad. He peels the skin off of it in long strips, and a white flesh comes out from the broomstick I just picked off a tree. Oh, shit. I'm going to get whipped now. And he doesn't hold back. Wham, wham, thrashing. Wham, 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 wham. Oh, Dad, oh. Wham, wham, wham. And my mother says, oh, okay, that's enough. We got to put him in the tub now. Why you got to put me in the tub? Because I got welts all over me. And they're getting bigger. They're going to put me in an ice cold tub to take down the swelling. So I got to go in the tub after I get my beat. So you tell me, people. The one mistake that people make is that they overdo it, too. You can be beat for doing something wrong, but you can also be beat too hard. And I was always on the extreme side. Everything that happened to me was always more than it should have been. And this priest that came up while I was sitting in the chair of theology, as the only student interested enough to open up a chair of theology up there, I was taking all the courses, Old Testament, New Testament. I was taking philosophy and theology. It was weird because the instructors would come up. First thing they would say is, I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. But I am qualified to teach this course, so I'm going to teach the course of philosophy or theology course. How does what happened in the history of the church and stuff, and all that stuff. They are there, and they made that announcement. And as they preached, the atmosphere got to where there was a lot of believers that were in my class. It was a Catholic college that we thought. A lot of us thought it was, but it wasn't. It was a parochial college. They had rented off the Abbey their old schools that they had their postulants in, or what do they call them guys? Just as they're going to be a priest, novitiate, whatever it is. They kept them, and that was their school. So the state rented those buildings because they didn't have that anymore. They went from a monastery of education and all that stuff into a den of homosexuals, where there was some priests in there that weren't homosexual. In fact, they were holy priests, good priests too. One of the priests that was in there wrote my music book, my wife's and I music book. We have 16 songs in there with 60 pages of other people in the religion. So I'm going to get back to this color coming back up from St. Petersburg, sent him up to scope things out because St. Leo wants to open a chair of theology where somebody can get a degree in theology and become a director or something in religion. So they came up, checked the program out to give it the okay from the diocese because it was a St. Leo College course and they wanted a chair of theology. We're going to get that privilege from the Diocese of Syracuse. So they sent up this priest, I call him Father B. Father B. I said, I can call him. I'm not going to take him. He's dead now, probably. He's got to be dead because he was an old man when I was 26. So he's got to be up. Yeah, maybe he's in heaven. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's in hell. I don't know. But if he's in heaven, he's probably praying for me because what he did to me was not normal. So he has to call me, so he says he sets me up. He gets into with the university, and when he comes up, he's a representative of the Diocese of Syracuse, and he's going to teach a course because he has a degree and everything. He's going to teach a course in Old Testament. And I'm the only one that signed up for it. And this is great for him because now he'll get to know me real good because I'll be the only student in the class. And in fact, they gave us a private room. The Abbey's, the Abbott's room of the Abbey, of St. Leo Abbey. His office and desk and everything was our classroom. And I sat on one side of the desk and the priest sat on the other. So every day we get in. So when we first started, he goes, Bill, he says, now I'm going to teach you the Old Testament. Now he's calling me. He's checking me out. They got to make a decision. It says right in the Bible to test everyone, right? So he says, I want you not to make love to your wife all the while I'm teaching this course to you. And I'm thinking, why does he want me to do that? I said, okay, Father, I'll try it. I'll try that stuff. So we started the course. I don't know how many weeks the course went through, but it was a meeting a couple times a week, 3 times a week or something like that. So around the 3rd or 4th week, every time I come into the abbot's office, he'd be there and I'd give me a hug, I give him a hug, I sit down, and he'd be just saying, getting in. So now we're into 4 or 5 weeks, meet 3 times a week. We're in quite a few classes so far, And so one day I go in there and I go up to him, I hug him, he holds on to me. And I looked at him because, he's figuring, well, he hasn't had sex in a month or 2, So now we're going to see what he's like. Probably. This is how I'm analyzing it in my old age because I'm trying to make it so Father B isn't what I thought he was or what I think he is. I just hope I give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was and I was the one guy that didn't fall for it. And he repented because he saw somebody that was true and honest. So anyways, he hugged me the last time that he hugged me. And when he hugged me, he held me close to him. Put his hand around the back of my neck. And he brought me in towards him like this. I mean, this is how close we were. And I'm saying, what the heck is this guy doing? What am I doing now when I had to go through and deal with that, So I pulled away from him. I said, what are you trying to do? Stick your tongue down my throat or something? Jeepers. So he started chasing me to get back with me, So I'm on the other side of the desk, and he's on the one side of the desk, and I go to the left, he goes to the left. I go to the right, he goes to the right. He's trying to keep me from getting out the door, which is in back of him, right? I'm trying to get to the door, I'm going to go like that. Now, I could knock this guy out cold. I was 26 years old and won the Golden Gloves. I knocked out the Navy champion. I fought in the Nationals. I knocked out in 30 seconds, I knocked out the national champion. I could have put this guy in the hospital. But I give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a priest. Was he having a bad time or something? I don't know what he's going to do. So I'm going left, I'm going to the right. We're going around the desk like a secretary and the boss, And he starts laughing his keister off, He starts laughing. And I'm standing there, I'm looking at him. Why the heck's he laughing? Because he's chasing his nurse, not nurse, but his secretary around the desk. If he's a faggot. I'm the secretary. So I got whiff of that, And I pulled back. I got out of the room. Then I went right down to the office. I didn't tell anybody about it, what happened or anything like that. I just said, I'm out of here. I'm withdrawn from the college. I'm going to go. I'm getting out of here. And they're all like, why does he want to do that? I'm on the honor roll, everything, man. All of a sudden, I want to get out of there. And they're all saying, what did that priest do to him? Or what did he go through? Because I went through a lot of classes there. I was there 2 years almost, a year and a half, from 75 to 76. So that was over a year, though, I was there. Over a year. I know I was over a year because of 75. I got out. No, I graduated in 75 from AA degree because I transferred my credits. They allowed 45 hours to transfer back in to the junior college. So I called them up. I said, I'd like my junior college degree. I left just before I got it. Oh, yeah, oh, okay. Well, you're allowed to transfer 45 hours in. I said, well, I got enough hours to get my degree. Can I get a degree? They said, yeah, bring them down here. We'll get you a degree. So they were happy because they took a high school dropout, 9th grade, taught them the quadratic equation, and proved to them that I had the mental capability of being educable enough to, get a degree maybe. So they told me, they said, okay, that's how I got into college after I got my GED and learned the quadratic equation, or formula, and proved to them I knew it. Then they let me into college and granted me a high school education degree, GED, general education degree. So they gave me that, and then I went in and they said, now if you maintain a 2.0 average or better, you can remain in college and get a degree. From this college, that is. So I had a pretty good grade point average. I wasn't that great. I was struggling, man. And then it kicked in. My struggling kicked in, and I got out of that school, and I went to St. Leo, and it was a whole different. I was into something I wanted to be into, religion, and I wanted to have a chair of theology. I wanted to be a school teacher maybe in a Catholic school or something like that, which I did do. So anyways, I says, I'm out of here, man. I didn't tell anybody what he did or anything. So he went, so I was still living around here, right? I hadn't made the move yet. I'm just not going to school there anymore. So, and it was, come to find out, the course that I was taking with him, right, wasn't even registered. They didn't even register me for it. So they were looking for him to call me to see if I could be called or be perverted, or they were thinking I was a pervert and they were just trying to get me out of there, make me leave. Maybe they thought I was a pervert or something because of my past. The priests knew everything about me. I never lied to a priest. I tell it when I went into confessional, I told him everything about myself, And this priest that did this to me, I told everything about myself, so he's testing me. Or maybe he's trying to get some. Why would he tell me, don't make love to your wife while I'm teaching you the Old Testament? I said, okay, Father, I'll try it. I never did that before, but I'll try it. And that's the reason why. Because he was going to make a move on me, and I had to be horny. I couldn't have just got laid or something and came into the class, and he's going to make a move on me. I said, what are you talking about? So that's why he wanted me not to make love to my wife. And it had been about 4 weeks, somewhere around there. And we met 3 times a week or something. And there was quite a few times I went to him in class until he made his move on me. When he made his move on me, he kept his hand behind my head. When we hugged, he kept his hand behind my head. He kept me there. And I'm going like this. Then he started moving me close like this. Did I already do this? I think I already did that. Now I recall. Yeah, I already did that. And I go, and I got this close, and I go, what? What are you doing? You trying to stick your tongue down my throat or something? Oh, good God. I pulled away from him. And he's looked at me shocked. Maybe he's done this a lot of times, probably. He figured it all out. He was a brainiac. He put together those great big pipe organs. It takes some knowledge to have a skill like that. Then tune them all up and play them. Whatever. But anyways, that's what he did. But he was sent up by the diocese. So he got me all tied up with the bishop, took me down there and walked me through the diocesan chancery down there. And there was a room, business office room, and it was about, I can picture it, it was like, 25 feet wide, 50 feet long. That was this room he took me into with filing cabinets. He was trying to make me think that, hey, the Catholic Church isn't so great here. This is what's happening. He's trying to show me what's happening so it's easier for him to get in my pants. See? So I go walking down in Chancery, and we're walking through this one room, and it was rolls and rolls and rolls, 4 feet high, and went from the middle of the room to the wall on both sides of the room. There was an alleyway that you could walk down between everything. And there was cabinets after cabinets after cabinets. I said, what are all these cabinets for? He goes, oh, those are all the properties we own. When the people come down from the north, they don't live long. They buy property and got everything, and they're very religious, and they join the church. And when they die, they leave it all to the churches. And that's what's in those cabinets. All properties. Properties of, I'm saying, and you're letting these people from Africa come up and beg for nickels and dimes, and you got all that money. All you have to do is give them a couple houses or something. You got all these houses. They're probably one of the richest dioceses in the diocese, of all the dioceses, St. Petersburg, because people move down here and they got a 5-year old, and their life expectancy on the average is 5 years because their blood's too thick. As soon as the hot weather comes, they pass out and get a heart attack and die. That's how they die in Florida. I pulled an old lady off the street. She was fanning herself. Oh, she was in panic because of the heat and everything. We opened up our door. My wife says, Are you okay, ma'am? She's waiting for the bus. She says, no. Oh, she says, I'm going to pass out. So we opened up the door on my van, and she went flying in it and rolled on the rug. I had a rug. She's laying on the rug going, That's where it gets down in Florida when you're an old person. Don't be going down to Florida. Say, well, I'm going to spend. Oh, if you're rich enough where you can spend the winter down there and then come back, but you don't want to spend the summer down there and have thick blood. You'll be out cold. You'll have a heart attack. You'll die before 5. On the average, it's 5 years life expectancy. People who retire and go to Florida and stay there all year, they don't live long. And then, so what happens? All these properties turn over. 750 people moving in that state a week at the time. It's probably more now, I don't know. They all bought properties. Had a lot of positions, all their money in the bank. They die, and what do they live in? To the church. They're probably one of the richest dioceses in the United States, I would estimate. Or maybe there's some bigger city ones that might be. But what would they leave them? They have all individual properties down there. Those are all little communities all over the place. And all they do is increase in value. So instead of selling them and getting the money and putting it in the bank where it depreciates, you keep them because the houses increase. Like $100,000 home, right? 20 years ago was worth probably $300,000 now. And 10 years from now, they're probably worth $500,000. So $100,000 investment that you made 20 years ago turned into $500,000. That's how, with inflation and everything, you know. It's like the Chinese came over and they bought Hawaii, parts of Hawaii, 5 times its value, paid it. They still got to pay taxes. Can't put a military base on it yet. That's what I'm saying. We're being slowly moved in on, people. And I'm saying this. We don't owe China anything. They stole it all from us. So if they want their money back, send some of them up in Alaska and dig for it. And they can have all they want, but we get 50% of it. That's what I would do back to them. What they did to us. Just give it right back to them. Now they're trying to start pulling on Taiwan. They want to take over Taiwan. I mean, what's going on, man? Putin wants to push the button if NATO goes in to the Ukraine incident there. I'll push the button. If NATO comes in, there's going to be a nuclear war. And here's a $200 billion word of authority coming from Russia and over to Ukraine. Because the Ukraine used to be part of it, and they're just trying to get it back, but it is. Well, Alaska was part of China at one time. Is China going to try to get it back like Putin's trying to get back Ukraine? So then we're going to be at war with China? Because they're building it up. But what they don't understand is we have technology. They don't. They think they're infiltrated and they know everything about it. But we have technology that disintegrates. And we have planes you can't even see. You want that happening to you? Where it shows up right over where you're having your big meeting in some country and you're disintegrated? That's what the United States has in technology. That's why we're so brassy, because we know what we got in secret. The world doesn't. But the world's going to be really surprised because we've let them take the reins. It's like a fish. When you throw the line out, it grabs the bait. You don't jank on it right then and there. You let it go with it until it swallows it, and then you yank. And that's what China's done to the United States. That's what they did to the United States. They got 1,300,000,000. We have 300 million. They have 1,300,000,000. A billion more people than we do. And they're 4,000 years older than us in culture. We're only 268 years old. Or, well, maybe it's more than that now. Big deal compared to 4,000 years of culture. That's a cultural clash. Who's the dominant culture? China. But the United States, economically and production-wise, we're going to get it back. We're going to get it back. Or there's going to be a big change. There's going to be a one world government somehow. Because you figure it out. If China and Russia and the United States and the Arabic countries all got together, they could take the world over as one government. And that's what it looks like it's going to happen for there to be peace. Because everybody's got their own show and everybody wants it done their own way. It's just like the church. The schism in the church. Martin Luther took off, and now what? There's 42,000 other churches that have been planted because of his schism from the Catholic Church. And he went in the Bible and manipulated the Bible the church wrote. He changed it. Took out 5 of the Bible books from his Bible and then said, it's by faith alone that you're saved. And that's wrong. That's wrong. By faith and good works. And the good works is what you do as a Christian. You know, you just have faith. The devils believe in God. But have good works. And what does the devil do? He doesn't do good works. But a holy person would. So by faith and good works are you saved. And the one factor that we're not paying attention to too much is that the Shekinah, the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist, with the Mass being said 24/7 all over the world. Right now, as I'm talking, there's Masses being said. If I were to talk to you at 3 o'clock in the morning, there will be all kinds of Masses being said all over the world. 24/7, there's a non-stop, continuous offering to God for the Paraclete to come down and counsel and be with his people. And that's Holy Eucharist. That's the way into heaven, people. You can't get there unless you go that route. Because Jesus says, whoever eats my body and drinks my blood will proclaim my name in heaven. When I come, I'll proclaim their name on earth. If you share in my suffering, you will also share in my glory. So all you sufferers out there, you're being martyred in the heart. You're a martyr. You're not a beheaded martyr. You're a martyr in the heart, like the Holy Mother was. If you don't believe me, think about it. When she was sitting there and they laid her son in her arms, well, how did her heart feel? She was being martyred by the devil. He laid, there's your son, laid him in her arms. And all she had was her faith in God, saying, now, my son, 33 years, I bore him, I brought him in, I nursed him, I combed his hair, all the things you do. Now here he is, 33 years old, sopping wet with blood, his beard pulled out, shoulders are all down to the bone, bleeding, their knees are all down to the bone, bleeding, even where he had his hands slung over the cross, that was all worn away and bleeding. And they ripped his beard out, they spit in his face, they hit him with their tongs. Jesus just kept on going. I'm going to get this to the salvation for man. And it's the only acceptable sacrifice because God saw everything happen. And now he says the only acceptable sacrifice to get into the kingdom of God is through Christ Jesus, him crucified, died, buried, and is now King of divinity and humanity. And his mother is the Queen. Now you can believe that or not. I say this, Mother Angelica.